Greetings everybody, my name is Tommy the Keyblade Master and welcome to my channel. Now yesterday I did a review on Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix. I did a review on the game and then I also looked at the story. Today we're going to be doing that with Birth by Sleep. This time it's the Final Mix on the HD Remix. Now I don't really care too much about the Final Mix content in Birth by Sleep. That said, Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep is one of my favorite Kingdom Hearts games. It's kind of tied with the original for which one's a better game. I think the original one did Japanese RPG mixed with Disney slightly better than Birth by Sleep, but Birth by Sleep has some amazing characters. It's got Leonard Nimoy voicing the villain Xehanort, and he's really entertaining doing Xehanort, by the way. And you just have this really great battle system on top of that. And it makes Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep the best Kingdom Hearts game, at least from the gameplay standard of the entire series. Let's take a deeper look at Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep and why I really enjoy this masterpiece of a PlayStation Portable game, now available in HD on the PS3. Let's start off talking about Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep's story. And the story in this game's a bit of a mixed bag, but overall I enjoyed it. The reason why this game's a bit of a mixed bag is that it retcons a lot.
His Majesty banished him to another dimension a long time ago.
Actually, that's just a small one. Changed his to her, and that scene still flows after Birth by Sleep quite well. It's this scene here that gets majorly retconned.
Chosen wielder of the Keyblade.
Not after this game, you're not, but I'll save that for my story analysis. The basic plot in Birth by Sleep, it takes place before Kingdom Hearts by about a decade, and we find out there used to be a whole order of Keyblade wielders. Yeah, they're kind of like Jedi, and another video that's going to come soon, Star Wars comparisons, because there's a plenty in this game. But basically, we start off with two Keyblade wielders taking their Mark of Mastery exam. One passes, the other fails. However, there's little time to really dwell on that because the worlds are being invaded by monsters called the Unversed, so Master Eriquist sends his pupils out to try to stop them. Meanwhile, one of the other Keyblade Masters, one called Xehanort, has also disappeared, and one of the young trainers, Terra, is out searching for him as well, trying to find him and bring him back. A whole bunch of stuff happens that impacts the original series, and I'll try to get into that, like I said, in the story analysis. But some, like I said, major stuff happens between the three characters and three young kids they bump in along the road. In the end, it's a really great prequel that helps set up Kingdom Hearts 3, as well as explain some of the stuff that happens in the backstory to Kingdom Hearts. It also adds a whole bunch of convoluted BS, unfortunately. But for the most part, Birth by Sleep by itself is a really enjoyable game. Alright, the graphics in Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep are pretty good. It originally came out on the PSP, and the only way you can tell in this HD remix that it was ever a portable game is that the camera really likes to hug tight to your character. But other than that, the game really does look gorgeous. It's easily as good as looking as Kingdom Hearts 2 in this HD remix, if not just a little bit better. The character designs are still really good, the worlds look good, and with this HD remix, the graphics now chug along really smoothly. On the PSP, you had to kind of fiddle with the options if you wanted a smoother running game, which sucked the PSP's battery down, and even then, some of the areas like the Mirage Arena would still chug along. Here, the graphics look good, and the game is always smooth in its animation and the way it flows. Square Enix did an excellent job upgrading this one to the consoles. Now, on to the sound and music. We have some pretty good themes for the worlds. My only complaint with, as far as the music in the Disney world, has to go with Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo from Cinderella. Like Under the Sea, they make the mistake of having that be the main theme for the stage. And unlike Under the Sea, which is several minutes long, Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo is pretty much only about 30 seconds long. Oh god, does that track repeat. Well, Sonny, it could be a lot worse. Disney could actually adapt this film into live action, make Cinderella a complete dumbass, Do things like, say, have her adopted when she's pretty much an adult and still lives there with the abuse for whatever reason. And to make things worse, she just lucks out of her whole situation, thinks it's a magic birds. And to make sure that anybody who has male parts who's sitting in the audience doesn't want to strangle themselves, every shot of a woman is done right at the cleavage line so you can see it all. Do you imagine how crappy a movie like that could be? Don't tell me. Yeah, Disney just released that on Blu-ray a few weeks ago. Wow, live-action adaptations. The Disney sequels of this decade. Dumb jokes regarding the live-action Cinderella movie aside, the music in Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep is still pretty beautiful. It even captures some of the high-powered drama and action that comes towards the end of the game. And while the story is convoluted and there's plenty of silly and stupid stuff, the fact that we have such a powerful score backing up some of these scenes really does help the storytelling when it falls a little flat sometimes. The music is really excellent and it just keeps this game moving constantly, especially during the cutscenes. One of the best scores I've ever heard, and I've heard a lot of great things about the Kingdom Hearts music composer. She does a really great job. Alright, let's talk about the core gameplay in Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep, and it's one of the best Kingdom Hearts games out there due to its fantastic battle system, but the game's not perfect. I'll start up front with what this game's biggest flaw is. It's one of the biggest Kingdom Hearts games out there, and at the same time, it's one of the shortest Kingdom Hearts games out there. Let me explain. Rather than this big, huge RPG, you've got 3 little ones that are only about 10 hours apiece, and they all combine into one big story, and you have to beat each character in order to get the last episode and see the true ending. Unfortunately, none of the characters' abilities or items transfers from one save file to another. So what happens on Terra's file stays on Terra's save file. You cannot transfer any of his abilities over to Aqua or Ventus. So each time you start off with a new character, you're starting off fresh, which can sometimes be frustrating, especially at later difficulty levels where you kind of got used to having an ability with Terra and no longer have with Ventus, adding to some of the extra frustration when you start off as a new character and end up dying because you have no abilities. It does put a damper on the game. That and Ventus's little rhythm game are about the worst I can say about this game. There's one more bad thing, and it does have to do with what I just talked about, and that would be the save system. Like I said, each character is its own individual file. You have to save after you complete each character in order for it to count towards the final mission, and mistakes can happen that can cause you to overwrite a character save file right towards the end of the game. Was I stupid enough to do that? Well, it's the word idiot tattooed on my forehead. Now that I got all the negatives out of the way, let's talk about what's good about Birth by Sleep. And that is, it's got 3 really great characters that are all fun to play with, all different to play with, some worlds that are pretty good. Some of them are a little bit on the short side, but for the most part, they're really fun to explore. And you got this really great battle system that allows you to really build your characters easily and experiment. Okay, let's start off with the individual characters. You've got Terra. He plays kind of like Sora from the original Kingdom Hearts. He's a little bit on the slow side, but he attacks powerfully. His combos aren't very long, but it doesn't matter because each strike really does HP damage, similar to the way it was in the original Kingdom Hearts. Ventus, on the other hand, plays like Sora from Kingdom Hearts 2. He's a lot faster. His attacks don't do as much, but they're so frantic and so fast that you can just combo up easily, and it's a lot of fun playing as him as well. And then you got Aqua. She is a lot harder to play as. She is the mage. She is someone who's definitely for the builders out there, because you're going to have to constantly keep her under maintenance and building on her, or else she's going to fail and fail miserably. But keep her stats up and keep those magic spells that you can produce under her up, and you can do some really, really great tricks by the end, including the things like Mega Flare, which just destroys every enemy on screen. She's a really fun character to play as, even though I don't like her personally in the story, and I'll bring that more up when I do my story analysis, but she's a really fun character to play as. Alright, now let's talk about another really great thing about Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep, and that is the command deck. The command deck operates like what Chain of Memories originally tried to do, but kind of came convoluted and kind of confused most players. Birth by Sleep does not do that with its deck. Basically, all the slights that you can get are just cards now, rather than the cards themselves building up to the slights. So, for example, your Fire cards, your Cure cards, are now just cards that you can put in your deck and use. Regular attacks are still done with the X button, and you don't have to worry about using anything using these regular attacks. That said, you want to build a good deck of cards and have good abilities. Not only are these abilities powerful, but they build up that meter on the side of the screen. And when that meter gets full, two things will happen. If you only used regular attacks mostly, you will do a strong finishing move. However, if you were using special attacks, you will kind of transform into this command slight, and there's several transformations you'll unlock. Sometimes transformations will lead to other transformations. It's a really cool battle system that allows you to really want to customize your deck to make the use of these transformations, and these transformations are all really fun to use on top of that. Next to that, whenever you equip one of these cards into your deck and level up, your cards will level up. Once they reach a certain level, you can actually meld commands. Some are kind of obvious. Fire, 2 Fires will lead to Fire, 2 Fires will lead to Fire Gusts, that type of thing. However, some of them are really quirky. For example, Arrow and Blizzard can lead to a Blizzara as well. However, you'll get different abilities if you equip a crystal to them. Especially that Arrow and Blizzard with a bounding crystal will get you the rare EXP Walker, which kind of makes the game a whole lot easier. But all your abilities, rather than being done with things like equipment you can find or other things, are now attached to these cards, and leveling up a card that has an ability attached will earn that ability permanently. So everything you need to build is basically attached to these cards. I could even see a version of this game where levels don't really even matter because they only increase basic stats. All your special abilities, all your special moves are based on these cards, and just building on these decks are a whole lot of fun. And if you're playing on expert mode and want to take the challenge down a little bit, you can always look up a guide of what cards will do what and give you what abilities as well. So it really makes the game fun, but it can also make the game real easy, and I just enjoy the heck out of it. And if you really need to level up a lot of commands fast, you can always play Monopoly. No, I ain't kidding you. There's a Monopoly mini-game called the Command Board. Basically, the principle is the same as Monopoly. The only difference is you're trying to reach a certain amount of wealth rather than bankrupt the other players, but it's the same idea. You run around on the board, you put command abilities down on the board, and if you win, those command abilities will receive a large EXP upgrade. It's a fun way of leveling up a whole bunch of cards quickly. However, a lot of times the best way is to be more precise, especially if you're trying to speedrun through this game, and pick out the abilities you want more than just leveling up a whole bunch of them randomly. But still, it's a fun game, and I like the idea of being able to play Monopoly to level up my characters. Alright. Finally, there's the final mix content, a boss or two, some extra animation in the cutscenes. To be honest, unlike Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix, which threw everything but the kitchen sink behind the extras to where the point is I felt like America should have gotten this version too, Birth by Sleep Final Mix didn't really impress me. For the most part, like I said, 1 or 2 extras from the version we Americans got on the PSP several years ago. The big thing on this version is that it's an HD and on consoles. Don't go in here expecting a whole bunch of extra content from Birth by Sleep. The only notable big thing that I noticed is that there is an extra stage that can be unlocked by beating Proud Mode and collecting a whole bunch of stickers. It's an okay stage. You're seeing it here, and there's a few story elements, but none of them seem to really add up. Until recently, I thought this was kind of a teaser at a canceled game. I guess they are releasing it as a bonus for some sort of PlayStation 4 collection. I give Birth by Sleep a 5 out of 5, and yes, I will tell you the game's not perfect. Having to start over again 3 times just to clear the game once is a little tedious, and the save menus are a chore. But the battle system is fun, the characters are fun, the story's really great, and I'll be getting into my story analysis. I'll be giving you guys a thumbnail to click here in a minute if you want to see my story analysis, but it's really fun. Overall, I really enjoyed Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep. Like I said, it's one of my favorite entries in the franchise. And I'm pretty sure the next game on the collection is going to be even better. Crap! Anyways, before I find a way to go torture myself rather than watch Kingdom Hearts Recoded, I ask you to either click on the subscribe button. I'd love to have you as part of my community. Or click on the thumbnail here to go see my story analysis. This is Tommy the Keyblade Master thanking you for watching, and I'll see you later.